For centuries, when early brain science tried to map the human mind, they largely did what humans often do. They kind of ignored the messy stuff. They studied logic, memory, perception, but feelings. Emotions were seen as too complex, maybe too subjective, just, too sticky to really study properly.
Right, they really sidestepped it. But the research we've looked at, it confirms something crucial. Emotions aren't just some side effect. They're described as the very threads that hold mental life together.
Exactly. So our mission today in this deep dive is to kind of unpack that old idea, the notion that emotion is this single conscious thing you either feel or you don't.
Yeah, we're going deeper. We're looking at the specific machinery, the circuitry that's often running completely outside of our awareness, under the hood, so to speak.
And what we find is this central idea that just changes everything, doesn't it? The word emotion itself, it's almost like a linguistic shortcut.
It really is. It's just a label we slap onto dozens of separate, ancient, highly specialized systems in the brain.
So things like fear or seeking pleasure, they aren't part of one big emotion center.
Not at all. The neural systems for those behaviors are completely separate. They evolved independently, to solve very specific survival problems. So when you say, I feel emotional, you're really just labeling a whole toolkit of unrelated survival hardware.
Okay, so we're talking about these automatic circuits running beneath conscious thought, which I guess brings us to the big question for you, the listener, today. What's actually happening in your brain when thinking and feeling seem to disconnect?
Because that moment of separation, that's really key to understanding things like anxiety, memory, how we experience the world.
Let's start unpacking that. The core concept from the research is this idea of the cognitive unconscious.
Right. Think of it like this huge basement in your mind. Most of what your brain does, thinking, calculating, reasoning, just the everyday business of being alive, it happens down there.
Yeah.
Completely outside your conscious awareness.
So we only really notice the result, like the answer to a math problem, not the steps the brain took.
Precisely. You're aware of the outcome, not the intricate processing itself.
And this split between conscious thought and this unconscious processing, it was really highlighted by studies on split brain patients.
Oh, dramatically so.
Yeah.
These were patients who had the main connection between their brain hemispheres cut, usually for severe epilepsy. And there's this famous case, patient PS. We showed him words, emotionally charged words like mom or even devil, but only to his right hemisphere.
The non-speaking side of the brain. So the information was essentially trapped over there.
Exactly, trapped. So when you asked his speaking left hemisphere, the side that handles language and conscious narration, what did you see? What do you think happened?
He wouldn't know.
Completely blank. He couldn't name the word. His conscious verbal mind literally had no clue what the right side had seen. The thought, the identity of that word was totally inaccessible.
Okay, but here's the kicker. What happened when they asked him something else?
This is where it gets fascinating.
Yeah.
If you ask that same conscious left hemisphere, okay, but was that word good or bad?
He could tell.
Consistently correct. He'd rate mom as good, devil as bad. His speaking brain was making an accurate emotional judgment without having any conscious access to what it was judging.
Wow. So the emotional meaning, the feeling of it, somehow leaked across.
It leaked across. The significance got through even when the specific information, the thought itself, did not. It showed this fundamental split. Emotional processing could happen unconsciously.
And the conscious mind was just reporting the emotional verdict without knowing the evidence. That's quite a division.
It really highlights that dichotomy. Thinking and feeling running on separate tracks.
So if the thinking mind can be in the dark while the emotional circuits know what's up, where does that emotional processing happen? This takes us to fear, doesn't it? A really ancient system.
Absolutely. Fear is foundational. The basic mechanisms are incredibly conserved across species. Fish, frogs, rats, us, we all use similar defensive strategies. Withdrawal, freezing, maybe aggression, and the physiological shifts that go with them.
And the heart of this fear network is the amygdala.
The amygdala. You can think of it as the hub in the wheel of fear. It's absolutely crucial for that rapid appraisal function. It's constantly asking, is this relevant? Is this dangerous? And then it triggers the responses.
The research points to two main pathways for sensory information getting to the amygdala, the low road and the high road. Why two?
It boils down to speed versus accuracy. Sometimes you need to react now, even if the information isn't perfect. Survival often depends on that speed.
Okay, so tell us about the fast one first, the low road.
Right, the low road. This is your quick and dirty pathway. Sensory input, what you see or hear, hits the sensory thalamus first. That's like the brain's main relay station.
Okay.
From the thalamus, the low road takes a direct shortcut straight to the amygdala. Zip, one connection.
It bypasses the cortex, the thinking part.
Completely bypasses the cortex. That's what makes it so fast. But the image it sends is crude, it's imprecise, like a rough sketch.
So it gets you jumping quickly, but maybe unnecessarily sometimes, like mistaking a stick for a snake.
Exactly. That's the potential downside, which is why you also need the high road. This path goes from the thalamus up to the sensory cortex first for analysis.
Ah, so it involved the thinking brain.
Right. The cortex processes the information in detail. It figures out, okay, is that actually a snake or just a stick? And then it sends that refined information down to the amygdala.
But that takes longer, I assume. More connections, more processing time?
Definitely slower. Multiple links add milliseconds, which can matter. But the payoff is accuracy. The cortex gives you a detailed picture, allowing you to make fine distinctions. Is that rumble thunder or just a truck going by? You need the high road for that.
So evolution gave us both. A fast automatic alarm system, the low road to get protective responses started immediately.
Buys you precious time.
And then a slower, more analytical system, the high road, to check if the alarm was real and guide a more considered response.
Precisely. The low road starts the recoil. The high road confirms if it's needed or tells you to relax because it was just the garden hose. It's an elegant solution, really.
This separation, this idea of emotional reactions happening before or even without full conscious knowledge, it also plays out dramatically in memory, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There's this classic, almost unbelievable case study from the early 20th century. Physician Edouard Claparede and his patient with severe amnesia.
Right, she couldn't form new memories.
She had profound damage to her hippocampus. That's the brain structure critical for forming new, explicit, or declarative memories, the conscious recollections of facts and events, your personal history, basically.
So she lived perpetually in the present moment, in a way. Claparede had to introduce himself every single day.
Every day, she genuinely had no conscious memory of ever having met him before. Zero recognition.
Put it on the pin. Tell us about the pin incident.
Well, one day, Claparede decided on a little experiment. As he introduced himself and reached out to shake her hand, he had a tack hidden in his palm.
Ouch, he pricked her hand.
Gave her a sharp prick. Yes, not exactly standard procedure today.
I should hope not. So what happened the next day? Did she remember him then? Did she remember the pin?
Not consciously. Her declarative memory was still offline. She looked at him, still no sign of recognition, didn't remember his face, didn't remember the incident from the day before.
Did she shake his hand?
Ah, that's the key. When he extended his hand again, she pulled hers back, refused to shake.
And could she explain why? Could she say, because you pricked me yesterday?
No, she couldn't access that explicit memory, that story, but her behavior clearly showed she had learned something. Her brain had formed an implicit emotional memory. This guy signifies pain or danger.
So two memory systems operating completely independently. One for the facts, the conscious story, the hippocampus.
Which was damaged in her case.
And another for the emotional association, the gut feeling, the automatic avoidance run by the amygdala.
Exactly. Explicit memory is what you know what you can talk about. Implicit emotional memory is what your body knows, how you react automatically, often without conscious awareness of the original trigger, like fear conditioning. They run in parallel.
Okay, let's bring this home for people listening. How does this understanding of separate ancient fear systems help explain things we struggle with today, like anxiety disorders, phobias, PTSD, panic attacks?
It provides a really strong framework. Many researchers argue that these disorders often reflect the workings, or sometimes the malfunctions, of these highly conserved defense circuits, these wild things within us, as one source put it.
And there's a direct link explored in the research between severe stress, trauma, and how these memory systems can go awry, right?
Yes, a very important link. We know that severe or prolonged stress causes the adrenal glands to pump out stress hormones, steroid hormones like cortisol.
And these hormones don't just affect the body, they hit the brain too, specifically the memory parts.
Precisely. High levels of these stress hormones can actually damage the hippocampus. The research shows they can cause dendrites, the connections between neurons, to literally shrivel up in the hippocampus.
Wow. So the structure needed for forming conscious, explicit memories gets physically impaired by severe stress.
That's the finding. It directly impairs the ability to form those detailed, context-rich, explicit memories.
Which could explain something often seen in trauma survivors, like veterans with PTSD. They
Hmm.
might have gaps in their memory for the traumatic event itself.
Exactly. It offers a plausible biological reason for that kind of amnesia or fragmented memory. The explicit story, the what, where, when, gets disrupted because the hippocampus was struggling under the chemical assault of stress
It's
hormones.
the fear memory, the implicit one in the amygdala, that's still intact.
That's the cruel irony. The hippocampus might be impaired, weakening the conscious recall of the event, but the amygdala has formed a very strong primitive fear association during the trauma. That implicit emotional memory is robust. It doesn't easily forget.
So the trigger is still there, deep down, even if the conscious story is hazy.
Right. And that powerful unconscious trigger keeps activating the amygdala, leading to those recurring symptoms, the hypervigilance, the flashbacks, the panic even years later, often without the person consciously understanding the specific link.
And then it becomes a vicious cycle, doesn't it? The body reacts, and then the conscious mind gets involved.
That's a key part of the anxiety experience. That implicit trigger fires the amygdala, causing physiological arousal, your heart races, you get tense, maybe short of breath.
Standard fear response.
Yep. But then that physical feeling, that bodily alarm signal, enters your conscious awareness, your working memory. Your thinking brain notices the racing heart and asks, why am I feeling this?
And it starts to worry about the feeling itself.
Exactly. Your conscious mind attaches an emotional flavoring to that physical arousal. It generates worry. So you become anxious about being anxious. You're not just reacting to the initial, maybe unconscious trigger anymore. You're reacting to your own body's alarm bells.
What a deep dive this has been. We've really journeyed into the brain's hidden pathways for feeling. We've seen the amygdala acting as this incredibly fast, almost primal appraisal system,
Driving behavior, shaping implicit memory.
often way before our conscious thinking mind, the cortex and hippocampus,
Mm.
even catches up or figures out what the initial trigger was.
Yeah, ultimately, emotions are about marshaling the brain's resources, synchronizing everything towards a goal, usually survival. When danger hits, as one researcher put it, the whole self gets absorbed in the emotion. Every level, from ancient circuits to conscious thought, gets pulled in.
So let's leave you with this thought to chew on. If, as the evidence suggests, our conscious feelings arise when we become aware of these underlying, often unconscious emotional systems firing away,
Aware of our own bodily responses.
then what are we truly feeling? Are the feelings primarily about the thing that happened out there in the world? Or are they more fundamentally a feeling of our own internal automatic survival machinery kicking into gear?
A fascinating question.
Indeed. When you feel something strongly, anger, fear, joy, are you reacting mainly to the external stimulus, or are you actually experiencing the echo of your own body's ancient automatic reaction? Something to think about this week.